Find the volume of, that's not a cube. A cube would have the same measurements, like the height would be the same as well. So, volume of a pyramid is 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. So here's what I want to say. What do you guys write usually instead of area of the base?
A.
Or, yeah, you usually write A or B. Do I ever write that? No. I don't mind if you write it as long as you understand that you have to find the area. You cannot just say 12 is the base, because the base is not what you're plugging in. You're finding the area of the entire base. And since we're doing the pyramid first, I've already highlighted the base. So volume equals 1/3. To find the area of a square, you can do side squared, which is the same thing as length times width. What is 12 squared? 144. So area gets plugged in, so 144. What is the height of the pyramid? 10. So right here. 1/3 of 144 goes in 4 times. It's 48. Times 10 is 480. That is the volume of the top. Is everyone okay with 480?
Yes.
Are there any questions on how we found that? Okay. The bottom is a prism, so volume of a prism equals the area of the base times the height of that prism. So the area of this base, again, is a square, so 12 squared is 144. So volume will equal 144. What is the height of the prism? 9. It's this number right here. What is that, 1296?
Yeah.
So what do we do with those two volumes? Add them together. So the total volume will be 480 plus 1296. And what do we get? Anytime you want to tell me. 2, 3. 1576? 1770. Oh, that's right. And then meters cubed is the full volume. So the blue is the volume of the pyramid. The purple is the volume of the prism on the bottom. Tomorrow we're going to go over the 2 worksheets you turned in on Friday so that you can see what you're understanding and what you're not. Today we're doing a lesson. To encourage you, this is not to be like, oh my gosh, we have so much time. We do have 25 days left of school. We only have 5 lessons left, and today is one of them. So after today, you will have 4 lessons in total.
So what do you have to review?
After that, we would review for the exam, yes. So you have 2 tests. Your next test is next Wednesday, and it is over volume. And today you're going to learn a surface area formula. So your next test is over 4 sections, 11.5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we'll talk about it at the end. Okay? So, just to get this out of the way, everyone look at your notes. I know that it is stapled weird. Guess who did not staple your notes? I did not. So please don't complain about it, because I don't have to give you notes at all. So, the staple is in the right corner. Don't ask me why, I don't know. When you flip it, some things are turned up and some things are turned down. All you have to do is find the slide that is on the screen. So look at that. 11.7. So we're going to go over the volume of cones. You're also going to learn about surface area of cones, and it'll say it on this slide. So if you did not have the notes we have today, it's on page 346 in your student journal, but you guys also have it printed in that note packet. Okay? So find this page. Should be the very next one.
So will we need any formulas from the last one?
Yes, that'll be on your test. It will not be on your next quiz, but it will be on your test. And I'll put them up on the board again at the end of the class to explain. So we're going to talk about a cone. The first thing that you're going to find out is about a surface cone, the surface area of a cone. So what that means, volume is what fit inside of the cone, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, you'll learn about that in this class. Surface area is about the outside of the cone. So it's what happens when you peel it all apart. Okay, it would look like this. So there are parts of the cone that are important. Recall that a circular cone or a cone has a circular base, and it is opposite of the vertex. The vertex is the point where it all comes together, and it's also not in the same place, or not the same plane as the base. The altitude or the height, so that would be this red right here, is perpendicular. There's the perpendicular distance between the vertex and the base. So what that means, what do two things that are perpendicular, what do they do? They form a right angle. They intersect and form a right angle. So if you look at these red lines, this is a horizontal surface, meaning a vertical surface. Therefore, they make a right angle. That makes this a right cone. Okay, so we're going to learn something about a right cone. In a right cone, the height is not actually shown. So whenever you measure height, it's always straight up and down, correct? Okay, so the height will be from the vertex straight down. What's going to happen is in surface area, there is called the lateral surface. The lateral surface, you see all these little lines inside right here? Okay, that is called the slanted height. If I close my cone, do you see all of them kind of shine through? That is called lateral. So lateral is like this. That is what's used in the surface area. In volume, you're going to use the actual height. So we're going to talk about that and the differences. Okay, so what I mainly want you to know, going to pop up on this one. So you can flip. Area is in what kind of units? Square units. So all these answers are going to mean square units. Whenever you get higher up in math, what's going to happen is your math teacher is going to prove to you where they get these formulas. All of your life you have just been told a formula, and then you were like, yeah, that sounds good. So on this slide, it just shows you the proof. I know you don't care, and I don't have time to explain it to you, but it is here. I think it's in your textbook as well. The main thing I want you to know is the formula for a surface area of a cone. Okay, I want you to write down. It's in bright yellow. What do you think SA stands for? Surface area. What do you think R stands for?
Radius.
Radius. And L stands for slant height. I'll write that on here. So I suggest that you write it down, and this is one of the formulas you're going to have to know. So L stands for slant height. Ah, it didn't break, it just opened. So I'm going to write a bunch of notes on this left side of the board. If I write it down, I think you should write it down. Okay? The surface is supposed to be area. Surface area, you're going to use the slant height. And you're about to understand or learn what you use for the volume. Okay, there are two different things. You need to remember that you use one in one of the two. And for surface area, you use a slant height. So you're going to have to know this. Where do you think pi r squared comes from? The area of the circle. So guess what? That's the area of the bottom. And pi times r times L represents the part that I unfolded. So it represents this weird looking part right here. You see what I'm saying? No, you don't see. Look at it in my hands. This is pi r squared. That's the area of the circle. Pi times r times L is the area of this piece right here. Okay? So we're going to use that. We're going to use it right here. Number 1. So you flip. Number 1, what kind of cone is that?
A right cone.
A right cone. Thank you. Look at that, Debbie. Devin got it. So, in order to learn formulas that you probably have never seen or you haven't seen in a long time, I write them down before I even begin the problem. That is how you learn them without having to sit there and memorize them. Okay, that's how you can remember. So, surface area equals pi r squared plus pi r L. Alright, so now we're going to plug in what we know. Surface area equals pi. What is the radius? Times 3 squared plus pi. Again, the radius is 3. Times L. What kind of height is L?
4. No, 5 because
L represent the slant height. Slants. So think of L as like the L in slant. So it would be 5. It is not 4. So now you just plug it in. 3 squared is 9 pi. 3 times 5 is 15 pi. So that makes 24 pi. 1 second. So you can write both answers. You can write 24 pi, and then you can hit S to D. Here's what I want to just make known to you. Make sure that your answer is correct before you yell it out loud. And, yeah, go ahead. Tell me.
75.4.
Yeah, I was telling you, but 0.4.
It's too late.
And it is, what is it, centimeters? And remember, this is surface area. So squared, cubed, or nothing? Squared, it's area. So you can circle both. Reason being, on some of the keys, it's 24 pi. And on some of them, they're rounded. So you can just always write both. It's not a big deal. Questions on the first? Okay. The second, what kind of cone is that? A right cone. So that means a right angle is made between the radius and the height. You don't have to draw it, I just drew it. Okay, so whenever you're using this, I'm going to just draw. It says the diameter is 1.8, so that means all the way across is 1.8. Do we even need the diameter?
No.
What do we need?
The radius.
The radius. What relationship does the radius have with the diameter? It's half. So what's half of 1.8? 0.9, that's the radius. It says the height is it the height or the slant height? What does it say? Just says height is 3. But in this formula, do you need the height?
No.
You need the slant height. So here's what I want you to notice. What can happen? Surface area equals pi. We obviously know the radius is 0.9. We have no problem there. Plus pi times the radius. We have no problem there. Times the slant height. We have an issue. You don't know it.
So put an X or something?
You can put X if you want. What does this shape look like over here?
Triangle.
What kind of triangle?
Right triangle.
Okay, right triangle. How do you find the missing side in a right triangle? The Pythagorean theorem.
Oh my lord.
So we're going to find it. So we have 3 squared plus 0.9 squared equals x squared. So we have 9 plus 0.8 equals x squared. You're going to get a really weird answer if I remember. Take the square root. I don't know if y'all can see this. Take the square root. Oh, add them together. 9 plus 0.8 is 9.8.
Is that 1.1?
Sorry, 0.81. Y'all are not even looking at this. No, 0.9 squared is 0.81. So 9 plus 0.81 is 9.81. I just didn't say it. Take the square root. Do you ever want to round the middle of the problem? No, it tells you like a ridiculously weird answer. So here's what you can do to kind of compromise. You could use that 3 radical 109 over 10. That's ridiculous. If you rounded, so hit round. Go back. If you rounded, normally we answer to the hundredths, correct? So you do not want to round in the hundredths in the middle of the problem because you're going to be off in the middle of the problem and off the end. So what you can round, just to be safe, I would round like 4 digits. That's no rule. That's just, I would not round to what you're going to round to at the end of the problem in the middle of the problem.
Is there any reason why we don't round to the whole number?
Because it's not exact.
So if we just write the square root?
No.
We can round it.
We can round to like 3.1, what is that, 3?
3,
2, it'd round up to a 1 because of the 9. So what did this x represent?
The slant.
The slant height. So you plug that in. So 3.1321. I know it seems ridiculous, but that helps you to get the correct answer. You could have, I guess you could have left it as the square root of 9.81. Yes, sir.
You can't plug like square root of 9.81.
That's what I literally just said.
What?
I just said that. Whichever one you choose to do. All right, so type all that in your calculator, hit S to D. Tell me the final answer.
Hold on, I gotta catch it.
It's okay. Take your time. Make sure your answer is correct. Make this smaller. Put it over here. That's correct. 11.4, and we are in inches. We found surface area, so what are my units? Squared, cubed, or nothing?
I mean, square.
Squared.
Wait, so what would nothing?
Like if it asks you to find the height, or if it asks you to find the radius or diameter.
Okay, hold on.
So I'm going to tell you, so this would be one of those times you write down a random note that I'm writing over here. You can only use the Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean. On what kind of cone?
Right.
Right.
Right cone.
So write that, because some of you won't remember that. You can only use it on a right cone. And it only helps you if you're finding either the slant height or the actual height. I'm going to move screens. No opposing. Okay. Finding the volume. So what shape does a cone mostly look like?
A triangle.
A pyramid.
A pyramid.
Well,
Thank you.
this
Okay, it
doesn't-
has a circle, yes, you're right. And it doesn't really have a triangle, but I guess it could. The silhouette looks kind of triangular. But it most resembles a pyramid. So a pyramid formula, if you remember, look it up here, is V equals 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Am I correct?
Yes.
So what is the area formula of a circle?
The
One
Pi
r
squared.
Pi r squared. So here's what happens. You see these down here? You can write them down. You can remember the volume of a cone. You can remember either one of these. Here's the thing. On your test, you're going to have the volume of pyramids. You're going to have the volume of prisms. The volume of cones. So it helps if you remember a cone as a type of pyramid. Because if you know how to find the volume of a pyramid, 1/3 the area of the base, that's where pi r squared comes, times the height. If you know how to find the volume of a pyramid, you know how to find the volume of a cone. Can everyone see the resemblance of the two?
So like when I'm working on this, right, I can use 1/3 BH.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Because B represents the area of the bottom, and the area of the bottom is pi r squared. So they're equivalent to each other. So whenever you find volume, so over here, you're not going to use the slant height. You're going to use the actual heights. So volume is the actual height, surface area is the slant height. I would know the difference. So like if you look at the example on the left, that red line, that is the actual height. That is from the bottom of the cylinder, from here, to the vertex, of the cone. Okay, so that is the height you would use in the volume. And the same thing here. Whenever you see it, this is called a slanted cone. It's leaning over. From the bottom to the top, you'll see like a line like this. That shows you the height of the object. Okay, so that's how you find the height. Questions on the difference in height and slant height?
Wait.
Using your arm, what does height look like? Height looks like this.
I thought it was
Slant height
is like,
looks like this.
Yeah.
Height, well, yours is like
Oh.
yeah.
height, slant height. Okay. Finding the volume. So we'll start small. Finding the volume of this cone. Again, what helps you learn the volume formulas? Write it out. Since it is a type of pyramid, it's 1/3 times the area of the base. What is the formula for the area of a circle?
Pi.
Pi r squared, that's where that comes from. Then times the height. So here's what we plug in. 1/3. Do we know the radius?
Yeah.
What is it?
2.2.
And squared times the height of the entire cone, which is 4.5. Make sure in your calculator you either put parentheses around 4.5 or you can write times between them. But if you just write 2.2 squared and then 4.5 behind it, it's going to tell you error. And when you see syntax error, it's not because it made an error, it's because
You
made an error.
And you know when you made an error? People are stupid.
So we get 22 point, what is it, 81? 81. This is volume, so it's going to be cubed. So surface area is squared, volume is cubed. Question on this example, this is a pretty basic one.
That was the end. That's the end of the problem?
That's the end of the problem. These are our next two. So find this page. Volume of a cone. Volume equals, again, 1/3 pi r squared h. What kind of cone is this? It's a right cone. Guess what? 3, 4, 5, that's the most basic common Pythagorean triple. Y'all remember that? 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Just throwing it out there for you. So it equals 1/3 times pi. What is the radius? 3. Now, what is the height? It's 4. Remember, whenever you're using volume, you're finding the actual height. Whenever you're finding surface area, you're finding the slant height. So remember, surface with slant, S and S. You think you remember that? Surface area, you're finding the slant height. Volume, you use the actual height, straight up and down. So 3 squared is 6. There's 4 is 24. Is this 8 pi? Oh, that's 9. 3 squared is 9. Times 4 is 36. So 12 pi? Which is equivalent to?
37.7.
And it is centimeters. We're doing volume, so cubed. So you can circle both. I'm not opposed to it. But if your answers don't match up, some of you on like a test, you'll write or.
Yep.
Like I just mark it wrong if you write or. So don't do that. Okay? These have to be equivalent. It cannot be or it's actually this answer. No. If you were doing a standardized test and it was multiple choice, if you have more than one answer circled, it is wrong.
Wait, so you're saying if we took out that equivalent and put or, it's wrong?
Yes.
I had no idea that.
What I'm saying is if these two don't equal each other, then you gave me 2 answers.
So they'd be like.
So it'd be like, some people write like 37.7 or 0.06.
Okay, I got you.
Like, no, I'm sorry. I'll circle the one that you got correct, but you can't give me 2 answers because that's just not how the world works. Number 4, you have a right cone. You don't have to draw it, but if you are a visual person like I am, I find it easier when it's drawn. I missed that one. You can't tell me that's not a nice cone.
That is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Take that.
What's some things called? I need your.
I don't know what that is. A right cone has a radius of 5 feet. So this is a right cone, so there's a right angle here. The radius is 5 feet, and it says the slant height is 13 feet. So where is the slant? On the right side, 13. Whenever you find the volume equals 1/3 pi r squared times h. Is the slant height the same thing as the height?
No.
It is not. So you need to find the height over here, which would be from the very bottom to the top. So how do you find the missing side? The Pythagorean theorem.
Will these always be right triangles?
It will either be right or slanted. But if it's slanted, it'll give you the height. There's no mathematical way to find the slant. Christian, hood off. Thank you. So we're going to do h squared plus 5 squared equals 13 squared. Why is 13 on the other side of the equal sign? It's the hypotenuse, and it is across from the right angle. See, this is the hypotenuse. 5 squared is 25. 13 squared is 169. What's h squared equals 144. So what does h equal? The height equals 12. Sorry you can't see it. I'll write it better.
Oh, we're finding the height.
You're finding the height. Well, you still can't see it. But if you were watching this video, because we are recording, you would see it. So the height is 12. It's over here. I know, because you guys act like hoodlums when I do. Or gremlins or something. Doesn't matter. 1/3 pi. What is our radius?
5.
5 squared times the height, which is 12. We just found it. So it would be 25 times 4, which is 100 pi, which is equivalent to 314.159. So 6. Am I right? Yes, no? Can I get a nod or something? Okay. And, or 0.16. Because pi is 3.14159. Right? Rounds up. Then we have feet. This was a volume of a cone, so cubed. So you can circle both. You can circle one, doesn't matter. Questions on this one? You don't see? 1/3 of 12 is 4. 5 squared is 25. 4 times 25 is 100. When you multiply 100 by a decimal, you move it over 2 places. Finding a composite. We are almost finished with this lesson.
Hey.
Give me a heads up.
You know what that means? Classwork.
Actually, you just have homework today.
Wait, so you're going to let us start?
Yeah. Okay, find the volume of the composite solid. So how many shapes do you see? 2 of them. They're 3D, so if I ask you what shape they are, do not tell me a circle. Not an option. What is the shape of the top? It's a cone. Praise the Lord. And it is also a right cone. Devin's on the ball over here.
Who? Devin?
Devin, yeah.
Deshaun.
So it is a right cone. You can see by this right angle box right here. Alright, so finding the volume, it looks most like a pyramid. So what comes first in a pyramid volume formula? 1/3. The base is a circle, so pi r squared, and then times the height. So we're going to plug in 1/3 pi. The radius
6.
is 6, because it's the same as the one down here. And then times the height. This is volume, so it's actual height. It's not slant height. It is 4. You're finding the height of this cone. 5 is the height of this bottom portion. See what I'm saying? So we're going to leave it in terms of pi. 36, 12, so 48 pi. That's the first. We're going to leave it with pi for now. Hit S to D at the end. The bottom, Jesus help us all. What shape is the bottom?
Circle.
Sorry, that's not an option. Cylinder, that is the perfect answer. Circles are 2D. Cylinders are 3D. I told y'all you're going to say something like a circle, and that's not the answer. It is a cylinder. So I highlighted in purple, finding the area of, or the volume of the cylinder. So is a cylinder a pyramid or a prism? It's a prism. So is that 1/3 going to be there? No. But no, it is not.
Yeah, you got to fire the roar, boy.
The area of the base, which is pi r squared, times the height. Y'all stop. Volume of a prism is the area of the base. Since the base is a circle, that's where pi r squared comes in. And then times the height of the entire prism. If you don't remember that, that's why I write area of the base times the height. What is our radius? 6 still. What is the height of the prism? 5. So 36. I don't know what 36 times 5 is. That'd be 1/50.
180.
Yeah. 180 pi. So what do we do once we find the two pieces? Add them together. So the volume of the entire thing will be 48 pi
228.
and 180 pi. You're going to hit S to D as well.
228.
228 pi. No squared, just pi. What is it equivalent to?
I'm multiplied.
716.28.
Do we all agree?
Hey, I'm gonna find out.
Do you agree? Okay. And it is meters. This is volume, so squared, cubed, or neither.
Nothing. No, square. Cube.
Cubes, volume. So again, you can circle both answers. They're equivalent to each other. I believe we have one more page to do. No, two. Finding the volume of a similar solid. So we've been doing this same thing for a while. The volume, similar of volume. What goes in the top of the first fraction? Volume of the first. And in the bottom, the volume of the second. Technically, it's not a side, but you understand the sentiment. Side from the first, side from the second. So we plug in this formula. What is the volume from the first?
15.
15,
Square.
nope.
Or 16.
15 pi.
That's what I meant.
What does pi represent? Like approximately?
And an X.
3.14. So technically that's 15 times 3.14. Is 15 and 45, are they two different things? You guys are 15 years old, 45 years old is a little far away, right? Two very different things. So make sure, if it says pi, you put pi. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I was gonna say is it cubed or squared?
Oh, yeah, I'm tripping.
It's
I
it's
wrote
cubed.
two.
Sorry, it's cubed. It's a 3D object. Sorry. I know, making mistakes like it's a Monday or something.
But you use the all-knowing math teacher.
I'm not all-knowing.
You're supposed to miss nothing.
Good, no. We all make mistakes. Volume of the second. Do we know it?
No.
No, so you can write X, I write V for volume. What is aside from the first?
3.
3, that's technically the radius. And then what is aside from the second?
9.
Do we like to reduce?
Yes.
Why do we like to reduce?
Because it makes it easier.
Makes it easier, smaller numbers. What is 3 over 9 reduced to?
1/3.
Look, 9 cubed is like 900 something, or it might be 700 something. Either way, it is too big of a number for us to be dealing with on a Monday. So we got 15 pi over V. 1 cubed is 1. What is 3 cubed?
9.
27. 3 times 3 is 9. But you're talking 3 times 3 times 3, yeah. V times 1 is V. 15 pi times 27. 400 and what? 5 pi. Hit S to D.
1,272.35.
You said that wrong, but
I said it wrong.
I'll forgive it.
That's what I said. Right?
Not really. If you did, then you said it way too fast. 1,272. I don't think you said 1,272. 0.35. So it's the same thing over and over again with this similar solids. We have one more thing to do, and it is your favorite thing to do.
Word problem.
Find the indicated measures. I guess it is a word problem, but it's not like one that...
Is it this? No, it doesn't matter.
So I was nice, and I left up the surface area and the volume formula.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Anytime. A right cone has a surface area. So which of these formulas are we going to use?
A, first one.
Surface area. So I'm going to go ahead and write it. Pi r squared plus pi. It has a surface area of 440 inches, square inches. So where does that go?
In the beginning.
In the beginning for surface area. So 440 equals pi. All right, and a radius of 7. So where does 7 go?
Right there next to the pi.
Yeah, for r. Anywhere you see an r, that's where 7 should go. And find the slant height, which is represented by the letter L. So I'm going to show you an example for a second, just to give you clarity.
So, do we need to write that?
No, I'm just going to explain something. Because a lot of people want to add these two together. If there were no pi, what's 7 squared? 49. And 7. So if you had 49 plus 7L and you wanted to solve for L, can you add 49 and 7 together?
No, not like terms.
You cannot. They're not like terms. So in this problem, most people get tripped up that there's a pi. But remember, pi is a number. So don't get frustrated with it. You're going to square the 7. So my problems are going to overlap, and I'm sorry. 7 squared is 49, so you'll have 49 pi plus 7 pi L. So again, ignore the pi's. It would look exactly like what I have on the right. What would you do to continue solving for L?
Subtract 49.
Subtract 49, so that's what you're going to do in this problem. Subtract 49 pi. So this would be a wonderful time to remember the A and S button, the answer button. This would be a good time to use it. You're going to type it in. What do we get when we type it in? 286.06196. Keep it in your calculator. Do not clear it. All I did was look at Tiffany's calculator, but all she did was type 440 minus 49 pi. After this, leave it in your calculator. What is happening to L? Being multiplied. So what are we going to do to get rid of that? Divide by 7 pi. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to hit answer, divide, parentheses, 7 pi, end of parentheses. So I'll write it on the board. Write answer, or type answer, divided by, parentheses, 7 pi. It's the same thing as 286.06196 divided by 7 pi. Alright, what do we get when we hit enter?
13.
Evenly?
Well, it's like 13 is still 0.
Yeah, so 13.01, we'll just say for good measure, equals the slant height, so equals L. So are we going to answer, I'll move this, are we going to answer in square, cubed, or neither?
Neither.
Neither. So this is, what's it, inches? Inches.
Professor said 3 squared or 3 cubed was
3 cubed is 9. Are we all good on this problem? Okay. Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes, no.
Okay, well. No, you're not good on it? So what part was hard?
When you started making fractions out of stuff.
All I did was divide by 7 pi. Yes. You've learned everything, and this is the only thing that's left. What do you mean when I started making fractions? I didn't make any fractions. I just divided by 7 pi.
Yeah.
Did you type in 440 minus 49 pi? Type it in your calculator.
Okay.
This is why you need to use your calculator in class.
You said 440 what?
Minus 49 pi. Drink a lot of water. A lot more. She's giving blood. She doesn't drink any water.
We get extra credit for biology if we do
But she needs to drink a lot more. What do you say? Did you
Uh,
type it in?
Yeah.
286.0, whatever.
Yeah.
So hit answer,
Okay.
divided by 7 pi. What does A and S stand for?
Answer.
So previous answer. So it represents this divided by 7 pi. Hit enter. I only use answer so you don't have to write 286.06196. Okay, the second I'm going to erase because I don't have room. Sorry. I don't want the answer or what you think the answer is. Thank you, though. It says a right cone has a volume. So guess what? Volume formula. 1/3. That looks like an ugly 3. 1/3. Pi r squared h. A right cone has a volume of 528. So where do we put 528?
In the beginning.
In the beginning for volume. Equals 1/3 pi. It says in a diameter of 12 meters. Find its height. So how do I find the radius? Yeah. The diameter is double the radius, so the radius is half the diameter, so it'd be 6 squared. You don't know the height. So you can write x if you want. I don't. Is there a plus sign at all in this?
No.
No. So in the first problem, these were being added. In our second problem, all of these are being multiplied. So 6 squared is 36. 1/3 of that is 12. So you technically have 12 pi times h, correct?
Oh, this much.
If you had typed in 1/3 pi times 6 squared, you would get 12 pi. Type it in if you don't believe me. Type it in if you want to see it. 1/3.
6 times 6, 36.
And 1/3 of that is 12.
You said you're not going
Yeah, but this is also the second time I've done this problem. Okay, go ahead.
Times pi. Times 6 squared. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. All right, so what's happening to h?
It's being multiplied.
It's being multiplied by 12 pi. So what's the opposite of multiplying by 12 pi? Dividing by 12 pi. It's not 14, it's 14.01.
101.
Remember, on to the hundredths. And it is in meters. Is it squared?
No.
It's not cubed. So
nothing.
it's nothing. It's meters. That's it. I don't know if you can see that better, but you should have done it on your paper and in your calculator anyways. All right, you guys need to listen for 2 seconds. So, formulas to remember for your quiz. My name is not Miss Hat. My name is Mrs.
Marcel,
Marshall.
what is that?
Miss Hat.
No.
On Monday, April 30th, that is next Monday, you have a quiz. You're going to have a quiz over 11.7 and 11.8. 11.7 is about the cone. 11.8 is about a sphere. So you're going to have 4 formulas that you need to remember for that Monday. After that, you have a test, and it's over 11.5, 6, 7, and 8. All of them. So I wrote these up here. Tomorrow or Wednesday when we learn 11.8, I'll put up the surface area of the sphere and the volume of the sphere as well. Your homework tonight are number 1 through 16 on page 645. Go ahead and write that down. You what?